rose, and I don't fuck with.
Floyd Toney was a little big dude from a little big city in Northern California called Sacramento. Growing up, Floyd was always both mentally and physically gifted. His athleticism was comparable to that of a Deion Sanders, Herschel Walker, Allen Iverson, or even John Jones. No joke, the kid was stupid athletic and displayed high IQ and awareness early on. Floyd was a hard worker who believed he could manifest anything he set his mind to. He always kept A's and B's on his report card and was a kid with high moral character. Though he was the best at literally everything he tried, he remained humble and found a passion in helping make the other people around him better. His energy was just contagious. He had that Muhammad Ali, Nipsey Hussle kind of aura about him. Much of who Floyd was contributed to his mother and father, Angela and Mike Toney Sr. Angela and Mike did a great job of raising Floyd and his two brothers, Mike Toney Jr. and Angelo Toney. They were all freakish athletes and stood out in football, wrestling, track, and boxing. Much like their father, Mike Toney, they all found their passion in football. They would play Little League football for the Valley High Junior Vikings and even do some travel ball playing in Snoop's Little League. His older brother, MT, Mike Toney Jr., was a dominant strong safety, and his younger brother, AT, Angelo Toney, was a star wide receiver. Floyd was a natural running back. Unlike his brothers Mike and Angelo, who were 6'1", 205, and 6'3", 215, Floyd was only 5'5", 167 as a senior in high school. Though considered to be a small player by college scouts, Floyd was still a big-time playmaker. He would prove to be just as valuable a player as his two more physically gifted brothers. After their time in Little League, Floyd's oldest brother, Mike Toney Sr., had earned himself an athletic scholarship to De La Salle High School to play strong safety and wide receiver. He would have to commute daily with his father, Mike Toney Sr., to make it to and from school, all the way in Concord, California. With some hard work and big-time playmaking, he earned himself a 4-star recruit rating at strong safety and graduated De La Salle with a 3.75 GPA. Mike would go on to play for the University of California, Berkeley. Floyd was inspired and motivated by seeing his brother's success. He didn't have the same frame as his big brother, but he had the same giant heart that was maybe even a little bit more skilled. As Mike moved to the Bay Area for college, Floyd began his freshman year in high school, attending their local high school, Valley High School. Floyd earned the respect and the love of his neighborhood by deciding to stay close and help the program, opposed to accepting scholarships to many of the private schools who had tried to recruit him. Some of these schools include notable names like De La Salle, Bishop Gorman, St. John Bosco, Trinity Christian, and the list goes on. He wanted to help the program build from the ground up because that's the type of guy Floyd was. This decision to stay near home would be an uphill battle, as he would have to put the team on his back just to have a little bit of success. Floyd Toney was a 4-star recruit running back by the age of 15. Within his first 2 years of high school, he produced 2,500 yards rushing and 25 rushing touchdowns. He also put up another impressive 1,100 yards receiving and 10 receiving touchdowns, leading his previously 0-8 team to a 12-1 record. He was like a mini Saquon Barkley. The kid was absolutely dangerous in space, and despite being undersized, he was pound for pound the strongest player in the weight room. Although having 4.4 speed, he was known more for his toughness as a runner and second effort. He really had no hole in his game. Quickness, IQ, low center of gravity, great hands, balance, squirmy, explosive, and he had some dog in him. Floyd was a natural-born leader and earned the title as team captain in only his sophomore year. His junior year, he would convert to slot receiver just to help the team out. Floyd was still a running back at heart, but due to the lack of wide receivers and the fact that they had a solid number 2 back, the coach thought Floyd would be more of an asset to the team in the passing game. Floyd was noted as the most valuable gadget player of the ESPN Top 150 that year. With the help of his All-American senior quarterback, Floyd would finish his junior season ranked number 11 in the nation amongst all wide receivers, with 1,261 receiving yards and 13 receiving touchdowns. In addition, he rushed for another 637 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. As if this wasn't enough, Floyd got another 6 touchdowns on special teams. Though his position changed, his role on the team was just as significant as the 2 previous seasons. Floyd was a natural-born leader, and his efforts helped the players around him get better. This little man was making a big impact for sure. He began summer camp for his senior season as the best slot receiver in the nation and still had the option for playing running back at a few of the schools who had previously recruited him. He spoke with a ton of recruiters and coaches, and the general consensus was that if Floyd attended college in a major division, he would primarily be a return specialist and receiving back. He was told that the best case scenario, he could be a Darren Sproles or Tavon Austin. This was not good news to Floyd. He had immense respect for those 2 players and thought them to be great athletes, but felt that they were not masters at any one position. When Floyd played running back, he was a full-fledged running back every down. When he played receiver, he was a true route specialist who could catch any ball on any down. Though he was small and athletic as hell, he knew he was different and belonged in a primary position, even if it meant playing in a weaker division for a minute just to earn a little respect. Summer camp senior year begins and the team has a lot to be excited about. With the help of Floyd Toney, the narrative surrounding Valley High School football has begun to change. Kids who laughed at his decision some years back were now wanting to come to Valley to share the success. During the offseason, Floyd was able to snag a few of his homeboys from a local powerhouse, Folsom High School. The all-league left tackle, Justin Mack, and the all-league quarterback, Melvin Mack, were a brother duo who would come in and make an immediate impact during the summer camp. In addition, Floyd would be joined by his little big brother, freshman wide receiver and safety, Angelo Toney. Angelo already had offers from UCLA and the University of California, Berkeley. The kid hadn't even taken his first high school class yet. The 6'1" freshman showed up throughout camp and proved that he would be a dominant number 1 receiver. By about the 3rd week in summer, the Valley High Vikings were beginning to click and gel like a pro team. By week 4, it was time to scrimmage other teams. They were invited to a local paddock camp featuring local schools Grant, Florin, Franklin, Kennedy, and Sac High. Day 1 quickly got underway, and the Vikings dominated in their first scrimmage against the Florin Panthers. It wasn't even close. Floyd did so well, he was pulled out of the scrimmage early, scoring 3 touchdowns on only 5 carries. Viking quarterback Melvin Mack had a great showing as well, throwing dimes to freshman phenom Angelo Toney. The final score was a lot to a little, and the next 2 days would look about the same as they would demolish the Kennedy Cougars and the Sac High Dragons. On the final day of scrimmaging, they had a doubleheader facing off against the Franklin Wildcats and the Grant Pacers. Both of these teams had performed extremely well throughout the camp and had a slight edge over the Valley Vikings because of their depth of talent. In Game 1 versus the Franklin Wildcats, Floyd Toney was completely neutralized in the running game. The Wildcat front 7 was extremely quick off the ball and did not allow Floyd the chance to get his legs turning. With this adversity, the Vikings would move Floyd out to slot receiver and rely heavily on the arm of their all-league quarterback, Melvin Mack. Although it was just a scrimmage, the tension was rising higher and higher as it appeared that the Vikings had finally met their match. But the Vikings weren't to be counted out. As the scrimmage progressed, Melvin Mack found a rhythm and started putting the ball in the hands of his playmakers, Angelo and Floyd Toney. They would each find the end zone 2 times. Melvin got so hot at one point, he completed 15 passes straight. He was truly in his bag, and nothing could stop him. On his last offensive drive, there began to be a lot of chatter between the 2 teams. At this point, the Vikings had torched the Wildcats secondary multiple times, and Melvin started to showboat after each big play he made. This angered that aggressive front 7, and after dropping back to throw a 40-yard bomb to Angelo, Melvin was drilled on a cheap shot to his lower half. Melvin would not get up. In fact, he would miss the rest of the camp and his upcoming season on a torn ACL. The Valley High Vikings would go on to get their butts whooped by the Grant Pacers in their final scrimmage. With no real competent quarterback for the Vikings, The Grant defense only had to worry about stopping Floyd Toney. This would bring the team morale down dramatically and cause doubt amongst players. In the locker room, players moped around with their heads down as if the world had just ended. Floyd was concerned about the health of his boy, but never once did he let doubt creep into his mind. Floyd took his usual shower and then sat down near his locker, which happens to be right next to his brother Angelo. As he's getting his things together, his brother says to him, "Damn, bro, that was our lead quarterback. What the hell we gonna do?" Floyd touched his younger brother on the shoulder, looked him in the eye, and said to him, "We gonna do what we always do. We gonna get it out the mud."
Yeah. Look, mimosas with the rosé, and I don't fuck with. Yeah. Look, mimosas with the rosé, and I don't fuck with